Okay, fellas, this here's what I wanted to point out about that plunge, that situation with the plunge. When they first came out with this kit, there wasn't any setups. There was nothing to go by. And then Tiki put one up. And in the notes he put, in the special notes, he put down, shaved the CVD for the plunge. Well, I'd never had to deal with it, didn't know anything about it, so I asked one of the fellows at the track that's pretty hip on RC and been sponsored before, and he pointed out that it's in this little deal right here. This is the plunge, where that CVD plunges up into the outdrive. They bottom out on the diff nut. But here's what's weird, is look how that thing is rounded out. Look at that. And now we calculated it. This car is all original except for the left front A-arm. This is my old car. I didn't know anything about it when I built the car. I just put it together. Now he has tightened the diff to get that nut to bottom out, and you can see it still just touches. If you get it completely straight up and down, it's definitely still hitting, just barely. But this has already started to happen when I sold him the kit. Now, the best way I can explain it is, it was bottoming out worse than it is now at full suspension. And that's what I think started this process to happen. Pretty bad there. Now, I alluded to it when I was telling you guys when I was calibrating my diff springs, when I pinched them, one was longer than the other. I put the long one in the front diff and the short one in the rear diff, thinking I could get away without filing my CVD off at an angle. You want to kind of 15-degree file that thing off so it doesn't bottom out. It hasn't worn out the bearing. It's no worse than my kit, but we calculated that this kit is all original, diffs and all. And it's got about 15 or 16 hours of run time, calculating all the battery packs that's been run through it. But I figured running a shorter diff spring would make my little diff nut right there, that plastic tip, go in deeper and it wouldn't rub. So I thought, I didn't say anything about it or post anything about it because I kind of wanted to try it first. But you can see his still just touches. Now my car has got about an hour and a half run time on it. And that looks like it's pretty well straightened down. Now when I plunge into there, see if I can get this thing to focus a little more. It just touches. See how it touches? And you can almost see the CVD push against my bearings. Yeah, it's hard to see here because it's kind of light, but it's still happening. And I just did that thinking, well, I won't have to file my CVD. I kind of just didn't want to take my CVD and kind of file a 45-degree angle off of it so it doesn't touch. Now you can't see it, but inside there what I did was I took my like a drill bit, and I rounded off that nut inside there, but to leave the tits on there so that, you know, it wouldn't slip, it'd stay tight, and I could tighten it down. So the ball of that CVD would actually go into it, and then this wouldn't hit that. But it's not working. I'm telling you this because it's not working. If you notice, right in there, it's getting shiny, and it's starting to round out, just like his kit did, my first kit. I don't know if you can see it very good, but it's actually starting with an hour and a half on it. It's getting shiny down there. I'll get my knife and point this out to you guys. This is important stuff because you don't want your outdrive blowing out on you or blowing out a bearing, but right in there you can see it starting to wear. It's getting that curve going. And And I'm guessing you're getting some kind of wobble or something when it bottoms out. I can't hardly imagine a thing bottoming out that bad. But over here, on this one, it's not shiny down in there. It hasn't even started to wear an hour and a half of run time. Let me pull the carp a little bit so you can see it's not even worn in there. Get a better focus on here maybe. See down in there? It's not wearing. It's the same with the fronts. It's not hurting a thing, but over here, if you look down in there, you can actually see it better on this side. That plunge has already started to wear on my outdrive right in there. I don't know if you can see the curvature starting right here. See that curvature? So, you have to do like Theke writes on that setup. And file your CVD off. I'll put a picture up because I'm going to do one just so I have an idea how to do it, because I'm actually going to do it to this one. But I'll put a picture up of how I do it. But it's kind of hard to see it, but it actually touches. And that last little bit of the plunge, when I go like that, it's touching just that last little bit. And then you got to figure chassis flex probably plunges it in there even more. So he's putting new outdrives on his. I gave him some when he bought the kit, so he's covered there. But we're both going to definitely file that off because we don't want to see that CVD go. I mean, you figure when I sold him that kit, he's ran it what, 2 or 3 weeks now? How long have you been running?
I think a month, 4 weeks.
Yeah, so he's put at least probably 4 of those hours on there, and it was starting to get pretty bad when I sold it to him, and I pointed it out. And so he's going to have to replace the whole outdrive. His is too far gone. I can save mine, I think, and get a little more out of it, but just one more quick look at his. You don't want that. You don't want that. And then here's his other one. And this is after approximately 15 or 16 hours. See, it's hardly wearing at all, but it started. It's a lot of run time. You can see the shiny part down in there on his where it's wearing on it. But I gotta say, these diffs, they're pretty gritty now. I don't know if you can hear it. It's a little gritty, but my gosh, they're original. This whole kit is original. Even the seals and the shocks. This thing is holding up. It's holding up better than any V2 shock ever did, and it's definitely, the diffs have held up beautifully. The way they're shimming these gears now with the 3 on one side and the 6 on the other, it's the only way to go. Now if you notice, his front's getting a little worn there. Of course, that's got a lot to do with the steering and stuff. And then this one, it's not quite as bad as that other side, but I just thought you guys might like to see that. You gotta file that baby off, and it's gonna save you an outdrive by hours. A lot of battery packs. And one more thing while we're at it, because I made a post that my steering mod, well, I got help here, I got extra hands. I just wanted to show you this steering mod here. It worked great. First race night, it worked great practice night. That's all the further this thing will go over. See, it just won't go over. And I wasn't having any problems with this locking up. Now here's his. This is what I thought the problem was. I thought maybe this was going over, and if you notice, it'll collapse and then you can't turn the wheel. I thought that's where the problem was. But together we have figured something out. And I'm going to try to emulate it. We'll do it with mine here. I'm going to compress it. And he's just going to kind of try to put it in a bind. See what that thing does? Now we can actually push on that right wheel Go ahead and push on that right wheel. And then he's going to turn this left one. See that? Let me see if I can back up here. Let me try to get it focused a little bit. Okay. So he's got my wheel turned almost straight on the left front, but that other one's locking up. Now, I'm going to trace this down. We're going to figure this out, and we're going to fix it. But I think the problem is because of all that slop in there, in that front end. We've kind of discussed it, and we're going to try shimming that forward and try to stiffen that hub up in that caster block and see if that doesn't get rid of the slop and that keep it from binding. There's got to be a way to stop that, because I had it happen 3 times tonight just from clipping a pipe. And it breaks loose pretty quick and easy if you start working at it with your servo, but it's kind of frustrating. Not that it's hurting anything, but it's kind of goofy at the time. Now, one other thing. This mod is working pretty good. That little washer underneath there. Let me see. Put the flashlight right there. Right in there, that little washer I put under there. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I put some pics of it up. I can put more up if you guys want to read, go back and there's a little washer under there that I put on. It's the same washer as what you get on your CVDs. Now watch this. I'm wiggling that. It is snug. So it's not the slop in the Anchorman doing that. I mean, box stock, that would just be going just all over the place. Now I did the same mod on this kit when I built it. And you'll see the difference here. See, there's a little more play. But all he's going to have to do is go underneath that Anchorman and tighten that up, because over the 15 approximate hours, it has finally worked loose. But all you got to do is go underneath there, tighten it up, and it'll get rid of that play. But that's not even as bad as box stock. Box stock, that's just sloppy. So I thought by getting rid of that slop and making that steering mod on mine, this is his, would fix that binding. It's not. It's somewhere in there. Our problem, our little gremlin, is down there, and I'm going to try to chase it down, but I just wanted to let you guys know that steering mod I did, it was, I won't say it was a failure, because I actually like that, because this will only go back so far it won't collapse. See, that's as far as it'll go. It won't collapse. But this will collapse. The reason why it'll collapse like that is because the servo linkage is too short. But I'm not going to say that's a bad design, because that's not where the problem's at. At any rate, I'll get back to y'all later. I'll post a picture of how I'm going to file that CVD, but I just wanted you to see that. He's been good about this kid. He's going to run it for everything it's worth, but he's getting ready to do a rebuild. He understands that's gotten too far, and he's been good enough to hang tight until I can get a picture of it at least. But we'll see y'all later on the .2 thread. Take it easy.